continuum of care, where if I have a patient that, say, is homeless or requires other social services, then part of my job is to refer them to different agencies. But what ends up happening to people is they just keep literally getting referred from agency to agency to agency. And what needs to happen is a real actual provisioning of service. So I think that's part of the problem that we have. Another problem is that, we don't have very many homeless shelters here in Madison County. We've got the
two,
Downtown Rescue Mission and Salvation Army, and they have a very limited amount of beds. And then because they're also faith-based, which can be problematic. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with faith-based, but if you don't subscribe to that particular faith, that could be problematic. And then also they're at capacity. It was very interesting in this meeting. I found out that toward the end of this month, there's going to be about 16,000, and I got clarification on that. 16,000 federal inmates that are going to be released in Alabama, and this is going to be happening nationwide as part of the Obama administration's efforts to reduce prison population for nonviolent offenders.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these folks are going to be coming out of prison without much time to transition, and a lot of them are going to end up homeless, I'm afraid. So I think we're going to see a huge spike in homeless numbers. So this whole issue has really reached a critical point here in Madison County, and I think there are solutions out there, but agencies are going to have to quit empire building, if you will, and protecting their own turf and really work together towards a solution.
Well, no disagreement here. We got to find productive solutions, and hopefully, I know you've got some ideas.
Yeah.
Do you want to share some of those?
Sure, I'd love to. One of the things that I think is problematic is that pretty much anytime you have homeless people, 98% of the time they're trespassing, whether it's on public land or private land. About 50 cities across the United States, homelessness is actually illegal. They've passed anti-vagrancy laws and things like that, and
illegal to be homeless.
Illegal to be homeless. That's right. You'll go to jail.
Seems very uncaring. I understand that there are problems that come along with vagrancy and homelessness, but to just sort of make them criminals, to criminalize a person's plight,
right?
That just seems very heartless.
Yeah, and I'll give some credit to particularly Sergeant Mark Roberts from the Huntsville Police Department. He was there at this meeting today, and he is not one that wants to go around arresting homeless people. He's been an advocate for them, and he wants to help transition them into what they call transitional housing and then eventually permanent housing. So I think most people in this community realize that there are solutions, and I did some research, and in Utah and in other communities across the United States, they're starting to realize that camps are not such a good idea. You don't want 30 to 50 homeless people living under a bridge in a camp. What they are seeing, though, is that they call them micro-housing units, is that they're almost like Habitat for Humanity homes that are built very, very small, they're very affordable, and
they're like shotgun houses, really.
Basically, yeah.
That's what they look like to me, the ones that I've seen in pictures.
That's right.
They look like shotgun houses.
Right, and it's actually cheaper.
But nice shotgun, not raggedy falling apart.
Right. And you put 2 or 3 of these together on a small little bit of land, perhaps a church parking lot or somewhere like that. You have rules and regulations. What I'm saying is you have a system in place to ensure that the right people get this housing, and that it is indeed transitional, that it's not permanent housing for them. And you can put together a program in place where you really empower the homeless, and that's one of the things that we want to do at First Stop. Right now, we're busy raising money so that we can deal with this influx of people that we're going to have. In fact, if you allow me real quick to plug this, we have a benefit coming up on June the 14th. Football legend Phil Savage is coming to town, and it's going to be fantastic. For those of you who don't know, he's a color commentator for the Crimson Tide Network. He's coached at Alabama with Nick Saban. He's been with the Baltimore Ravens.
And so this is a fundraiser for First Stop?
It is.
Oh,
it
okay.
is. Yeah, and tickets are $50. If you go to firststop.org on the internet, you can click on events and purchase your tickets there. There's going to be food provided at this, and also some great silent auction prizes.
Right. So,
we even have a guitar from Alabama Shakes that's signed.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So
that's cool.
Definitely want to check the event out.
Okay, all right, and people can call First Stop for more information on that.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so the micro-housing sounds like a really good idea, and hopefully other stakeholders will get that,
That's right.
bite on it. And, I know that it's supposed to be transitional, but I would almost think that even if somebody ended up living there for a few years, that would be better than having them living under a bridge.
Absolutely. And one of the things that people don't realize is that the cost of criminalizing the homeless and the cost of dealing with all those issues, it's very, very expensive. To actually provision them with services is about a third cheaper. So for people out there that all they're thinking about is the money aspect of this, providing them with services and helping them is actually far more cost effective.
And they assign a case, at least in Utah, I read, they assign social workers
Absolutely.
to the homeless that they are helping with these transitional homes.
That's right. And at Alabama A&M, they've got a great social work program. This is really an opportunity for Huntsville to show what kind of city it really is right now. That throughout Madison County, we've had this problem for some time. We've not made significant progress, and part of it's because of the economy. I'm not saying it's a failure of agencies, but we've got to try a different approach. And I think that if we get the whole community involved, business leaders, Leadership Huntsville, Chamber of Commerce, people that traditionally don't get involved in projects like this, I think we can make a real difference, and that's what we're trying to do.
If you can get them to believe that it will have an impact on Huntsville's bottom line, they'll be there bright and early.
Right. Well, I can do that, and I hope to.
All right, let's move to politics now.
Okay, you can't wait, can you?
Yeah, man.
Chomping at the bit.
Yeah, because it was so fast. I was thinking to myself while I was talking.
Let's now move to politics.
During lunch, I'm sitting here across, at this big event, sitting across from a lady, and she starts talking about, politics and Parker Griffith and how she just is like, I'm going to write my dog's name in. I was just like, man, I'm bringing this up with Clete today. I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, this is, but so, and I'm not, this is not a criticism of her. I understand where she's coming from.
Sure.
She's expressing a genuine feeling of complete distrust and disrespect. Frustration with and for the Democratic nominee who she would normally be voting with.
That's right.
Or for, but because it's Parker Griffith with his track record of swinging back and forth and denigrating, the president and not voting for, come on, Lily Ledbetter?
I know.
What kind of heartless person doesn't vote for that?
I know.
It's about equality, man. Come on. So, I'm just saying, I think this is an enormous dilemma, not just for this person. I think she represents a lot of Democratic voters.
I agree, and I gotta tell you the story. Really is way back when I first talked with Parker Griffith about him running for governor. I obviously had some huge reservations. He voted against the Violence Against Women Act. He voted against the Lily Ledbetter Fair Pay Act.
That's even worse than voting against Lily
Ledbetter. I agree. And so I had some real issues. And, we talked candidly. And what I did was I basically said, look, you're going to have to talk to specific constituency groups, and you're going to have to redeem yourself. You're going to have to come up with policies that will not only appease these groups, but advance Alabama. And so, to Parker's credit, he's gone into many rooms where people initially were ready to throw rocks at him, and they came out ready to vote for him. And
I know you meant that
that's a good analogy.
Yeah,
I know you meant that metaphorically, but I think some may have literally.
They literally did. In fact, on WHNT, just the other day after at his victory celebration, I can say that the leader of the GLBT community, James Robinson, was standing right next to him. Who'd have ever thought you'd see that? And so Parker's made good on his promises so far. And I understand people's skepticism, but the thing I have to help people understand is that you know what you're going to get with Governor Bentley. You know you're going to be last in job creation. You know you're not going to expand Medicaid. You know he's
now we don't know that he's not going to expand Medicaid, because what we've been hearing for quite some time is that he was waiting for the election to pass and to get over that hump, and then he was going to find a way to justify doing it, as other Republican governors have.
And and that
Parker beat him to the punch, though.
Yeah, that
Well,
could
Parker
be.
certainly has said up front that he's going to do it. Yeah, that's
and
what he
that
said.
could be true. I mean, there's a lot of political posturing going on, obviously, because it's an election season. But one thing I do know is that with Governor Bentley, he has no problem lying. He was on television the other day talking about how jobs are just falling out of the sky in Alabama, and even the news outlet based basically had to say, no, he's lying. He's just lying because we are last in job creation. And this is true on so many things that Governor Bentley's saying. So,
And so the fact that jobs have been created doesn't mean that we're excelling in it.
No,
It's
they've been
just
leaving the
happened.
state like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and you see that in our community. Bentley's been wrong on so many issues. And I think right now it's a hard choice you got to make. But it's like I used this analogy earlier. If you're the state of Alabama and you're drowning, and one person's going to throw a 2-ton boulder at you as a lifesaver, do you do that, or do you go with the guy where, yeah, it's not perfect, but he's throwing you at least a lifeline? You may not get everything you want, but at least there's a chance.
So a 2-ton boulder versus a 1-ton boulder. What do you do?
I wouldn't say a 1-ton boulder.
Is that what you're saying?
No, like I said, I really feel like Parker learned a lot of hard lessons. I think he is, and one thing that's impressed me is he's been willing to go out there and take that political heat. He's gone on TV shows where they have just been brutal to him, and he's answered these questions. So,
but I'm going to say something to
Sure.
that because I know that you believe very strongly that that's an indication of his. I'm going to put this word in.
Had his come up.
Yeah, and his I was going to say his conversion. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? Okay, and I'm just going to be real.
Be real.
Dr. Parker Griffin, I think, has the kind of personality that lends itself to being the center of attention. I think he enjoys it. I think that he likes people. I think he likes attention from people, and I think that he likes a challenge. And so I think that he almost relishes the opportunity. This is just my opinion. I think he relishes the opportunity to step in front of a hostile crowd and see if he can win them over.
I think that's very insightful, and I agree with you. I still think that we have to look at some political realities, though. And one of the things that's really, really important this election cycle is that we break this Republican supermajority so that legislation can be debated, and that also we get somebody in the governor's office that will do something. And so I agree. This is not, the made in the lab perfect candidate, but it is somebody I can get behind, and so far. And what I'm saying is, I've been skeptical as well. And he and I have had many conversations, and I've been watching. Like, one thing I'm not happy with is he talked about the expansion of Medicaid, but then he talked about, well, maybe it's going to be a voucher program.
No, see, backsliding already.
Right.
He's backsliding already.
So I got.
You shouldn't have told me that. I'm gonna hang on to that.
But I've got issues.
Backsliding.
Well,
already.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm not going in this with blinders or saying, hey, I'm going to vote pure party just because it's pure party. But what I am encouraging people to do is to really look at what's going to move Alabama forward. And I think Parker can do that far better than Governor Bentley. Governor Bentley's shown us what he can do, and it's been abysmal. The Republican Party has shown us, since 2010, the amount of damage they can cause in such a short amount of time. I'm still waiting for more indictments to come out of Lee County implicating Speaker Mike Hubbard. Already you had Wren who was indicted, and more. So I really think the Republicans have shown their true colors. And I think it's time that people give the Democratic Party a real chance. We've got good candidates, good local candidates. I was really, really happy, that the candidates that came out of the primary are ready for this general election. What I was sad about was the 13.9% voter turnout. Mm-hmm. And it's that apathy and that frustration that is going to continually doom Alabama to mediocrity. People have got to get up off their couch and go vote. Mm-hmm. You got to get excited about this. Yeah.
Primaries historically have just been
everywhere, all over the country.
Yeah. But this was almost record breaking in terms of how poor it was.
I think it was like the lowest in recent history. Anyway.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very disappointed, and and I think that's another thing too. Is we did have another Democratic candidate. We had Kevin Bass, but people didn't know really much about him, who he was. He didn't have a lot of money. but he tried. He put his name out there, and he had a lot of really good things to say. Now that the primary is over with, I'm going to back Democratic candidates because I think our platform is what's going to move Alabama forward. I agree that there are times where individual candidates you kind of shake your head and wish that wish they had a stronger message, wish they agreed more with the policies you advocate. But I'm willing to get behind Democrats. Absolutely.
Well, I just thought the conversation I had with this older, educated woman was fascinating. And the fact that she felt like it was a real dilemma, I think, is something that you need to hear as outgoing party chair, that Parker Griffith needs to hear, and he needs to understand that even though he may charm a group of people over here or over there, there's still a lot of people, I suspect, who are not going to be... Yeah, who know him best,
right,
who have seen him up close and personal, who are not going to be so easily charmed.
I agree, and I've always said this, about politics. Politics is really, honestly, about substance. So often we focus on rhetoric, we focus on all the stuff people are saying, but I'm more interested in what you do. And like one thing I'll say about Bentley again is that here's a guy that's been cutting funding for homeless services. They got rid of 17 veterans assistance offices, he and the Republican Party, within the last 3 years. They've also been cutting funding to mental health and stuff like that. One thing I can say about Parker Griffith is I know given that same choice, he wouldn't have made those decisions.
You know that?
I would say that he wouldn't have made those decisions.
You're saying that it's less likely that he'd have done that?
Yeah, I'd say less likely. I mean, obviously I don't know 100%, but I think it's a lot less likely that he would have made those decisions.
And he's really going to need to invite the black community to come out and support him. He's going to need to really invite the black community to come out. And the way for him to do that is to make sure that he gets advertising on radio stations.
That's right.
That's the program director
talking
there.
If you want, I'll get him here. You guys can grill him.
No, he's not gonna come here until he buys some advertising. If he buys some
Okay,
advertising,
I'll
he can come
let him
in
know.
here.
That's the program director talking.
He ain't coming up in here until he buys some advertising.
Okay. But he might be able to afford it.
Yeah.
So,
no, he can't.
But I think Steve's point about
Sure.
he's going to have to convince the black community that he has truly had a change of heart, that he regrets the way he disparaged the president, that he regrets these egregious votes. I think he's going to have to really work hard.
Oh, it's a hard sell.
Because this woman, she was African American, and as I said, educated, smart. She was like, I'm going to vote for my dog.
Oh, yeah.
And she was not kidding.
Oh, yeah, I saw it all over Facebook. And, a lot of people have said the same thing to me. In fact, recently I got accused of being an actual supporter of his. And up until the primary election, I can't support anybody as a county chair when there's a contested race. And I've not supported Parker Griffith. I've given him the same level of support, I should say, as I've given any candidate. And, but there was that same sort of vitriol directed toward Parker Griffith. And I understand it. But what I'm asking people to do is to really look at what he's doing now. Watch him like a hawk, hold him accountable. And then but you have to look at what the competition.
But as Steve said, all of that looking is going to start from the overtures he makes. He's going to have to make the overtures through, like Steve said, through radio and through other mechanisms. And he's going to have to come hard. He's going to have to, serious courting. And it still may not, and I'm going to tell you, it still may not matter in some cases.
Right, it may not.
But he needs to keep, no matter how many no's he gets, he's going to have to keep coming back and trying until somebody finally decides to kiss him.
Right. Well, I think you're going to see that. I really do.
We'll see.
I've seen it so far with a lot of the women's groups. He hasn't won everybody over, but like I said, there are people ready to throw rocks, and then they came away saying, you know what, still a little leery, but he's got my vote. So, like I said, I think it's going to be a long haul for him, an uphill slog. But the other thing I want people to remember too, though, is that we've got a lot of local races that are going on here that are very, very important. We've got a sheriff's race, we've got coroner, we've got tax collector, tax assessor. These are things that affect people here locally, and they really need to look at the people that are running. Linda Hall, for example, has been our tax collector for a long time. She's been really efficient. She's fantastic.
Anybody running for the congressional seat? Was it District 5?
Yeah, District 5 is Mo Brooks, and we don't have a
Democrats
Democrat in there,
don't
but
have-
Mark Bray is
Yeah,
an independent, and he's got the signatures, he says,
Yeah, that's what
to
he told
run.
us. Yeah,
So-
he's been on the show a few times, and Mark is, you know, quite frankly, and I mean, I've said this on the air to Mark's face. I mean, he's just a little bit to the left of Mo Brooks, not much. He's almost as far right as Mo is, but he does have a different tone.
Right.
So that's what I credit Mark for. He doesn't, but policy-wise, he's not a heck of a lot different than Mo.
Which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
that's going to hurt the Tennessee Valley, and you don't see me wearing a Mark Bray T-shirt right now. So,
Right.
but I also believe, again, it's kind of the same issue we have with Bentley that it's hard to find. You know what I'm saying? Like almost anybody is going to be a little bit more sensible than Mo Brooks. So, yeah, I mean, Mo is
It's low
done a lot-
bar. It's a low bar.
Yeah, it is a very low bar with Mo. That's for sure.
All right. Well, we'll keep talking politics. You come back and try to make the case for your boy if you want.
Well, now hold on. Now. what are you doing here, David?
See now when you get out there, I heard you are on the side.
This is how rumors get started.
Yeah, you're endorsing. Yeah.
Seriously, I'm really interested in what's good for Alabama. And like I said, issues like homelessness and substance abuse, that's what got me into politics in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And, these are issues we still face here. I mean, we've got a crumbling infrastructure in the state. We've got a revenue problem. In Madison County, we've got problems with people accessing mental health care services. They do a great job at the Department of Mental Health, but they're stretched. And, I think we've got to look for candidates and look for parties that support these basic public services. And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. And if there's anything I can help you with this homeless thing,
Well, come to the benefit we're having on the 14th at 6 p.m. You can get tickets at firststop.org. Phil Savage will be there. That's one way you can help. And if you can't come, just donate money. It takes money to help empower homeless people and transition them from homelessness to a job and permanent housing.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think we can support that. Clete, good to see you, man.
All right, great to see you guys.
All right, we'll see you again.
Yeah, I hope I make it home in the Fiat. It's pretty windy out there.
Yeah,
It's blowing
man.
me around a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully,
Oh,
we'll tape it
before
off.
we go, let me check in once again.
Oh,
We
okay.
got another report.
Okay.
From the Dr. Beautiful.net Traffic Center, we've got a number